Privyet to everyone out there, and welcome to the BYH team review of...
Time Killer.
Yes, it is Time Killers, the only game to successfully plagiarize the Jumpman logo and get away with it. Released in 1992, Time Killers was a joint effort from Strata Group Inc. and Incredible Technologies, and chances are, if you've heard of this game already, you've probably heard bad things. It was commonly known as the Black Sheep, the Whipping Boy, the joke of the fighting game genre, but today we're going to look past all of that to what made Time Killers a truly unique game. Although it could be easily argued that Time Killers frequently traversed the waters of copyright infringement, beneath the surface there was actually a decent storyline. Now, for most fighting games, you probably saw a World Warrior kind of tournament or a Save the World kind of tournament. Everybody either gets together to test their skills against each other, or they all come together to save the world for some reason or another. But in Time Killers, it appears that death has come to these individual warriors who have been picked for their greatness in their own time period, and he has tricked them all into thinking that they are fighting other incarnations of death. So they don't know they're fighting other warriors from different periods who are also striving to either gain something for their own personal benefit or also trying to save the world. But it's an interesting spin. Time Killers was set up on the JAMA board, and like many arcade games at the time, gave the arcade managers options in gameplay, be it speed or difficulty, and in this particular case, you actually could turn off the gore so you wouldn't lose limbs and you wouldn't have blood, but chances are if you saw this in the arcade, you saw people losing limbs because that was the appeal of Time Killers, and to turn it off would just be uncivilized. Another unique feature was the Strata sound, which produced stereo surround sound in a virtual kind of way. If you got punched on the left side of the screen, you heard it out of the left side of the speaker. It could produce 32 different sounds at the same time, whereas Street Fighter could only do 12, so you wouldn't hear music dropouts, which is probably more noticeable in home consoles, like when you hear a sound effect overlap the music and some of the music drops out, but it's generally the same idea. So when Time Killers was released, Strata really pushed the arcade owners to replace their speakers or turn up the volume, anything to get Time Killers noticed. The Time Killers control panel shown here consisted of an 8-way directional joystick and a 6-button layout. Now, way before Tekken, and I believe it is the first to do this, Time Killers utilized buttons that corresponded to parts of the human body. Each of the buttons would correspond to a left or right side of the body, so we had 2 for the arms, 2 for the legs, 1 for the head, and a start button. The Time Killers fighting engine consisted of some super moves, some super death moves, a very weak and primitive combo system, and, well, we'll go into that later. Time Killers had a colorful cast of characters, starting out with the breakout character, the one that everybody played. That would be Rancid, the cyberpunk with his chainsaw, and pretty much if you just started playing this game, you played as Rancid. Next we have Orion from the distant future. He's got a light swordish thing and he's a bounty hunter. It's kind of interesting on this stage. He's got heads mounted on the wall of all the previous aliens he's hunted down and killed. He has a pretty elusive moveset, so he'll probably give you problems if you're a newcomer. Thug, who was a caveman, and arguably the most powerful character. He'll probably chop off your arms more often than not. I like his stage. He's got a dinosaur in the back. I want to comment that some of the stages are kind of creative, like I mentioned before with Orion, but we'll go more into that later. Next we have my personal favorite character, and that's Lord Wolf. Excalibur. That's right, it's the King Arthur, if you will. He's got very good range with his sword, that's why I like him the most. Probably the most famous for his shout of Excalibur at the beginning of a round or during a super move. He has a great poke weapon up there with Rancid, and he has a projectile attack as well. So next we have Leif Erikson. Don't really have a lot to say on him. I never really used him, but there he is. And let me just say right now that if anyone here harbors any ill will towards Time Killers, it's a possibility that they came to this arcade machine in a beach, hotel, or a pizzeria, and they picked Musashi, and, well, he fights with this Shintaro Katsu Zatoichi kind of reversed grip style that's only effective in movies, and he has no range with his 2 katanas. Definitely the worst character. And it's disappointing because of all the characters based on historical figures, I would have deemed him the most uh, able and capable of performing in a weapons-based fighting game. But alas, Miyamoto Musashi uh, fails to deliver. But moving on, we have Mantaz. If you didn't play as Rancid the first time in the arcade, you played as Mantaz. And with good reason, he had a good reach as well, right up there with Rancid and Lord Wolf. Probably the second most popular character. Pretty decent. Has a good super move. Again, I'll get into that later. Explain that more later. And before there was the Matrix, there was Matrix, the obligatory female with her photon blade. I'm not sure what that is, but she's the female. I would definitely deem Rancid, Lord Wolf, and Mantaz as top tier, with Musashi on the very bottom. Now that we've taken a look at the characters, let's see some of the moves, and I'm going to use Lord Wolf, of course. First, the headbutt, and we've got the right hand, which is the main weapon in most cases. And we have the left hand, followed by the right foot, and the left foot. The special moves were executed by hitting both of the arm or leg buttons, and this is both of the arms going at the same time. He's got kind of a swinging motion there. This is both the legs. He kind of catapults off his sword. Damage is registered to each of the limbs, and depending on how clean the hit is, and if you're not blocking or not moving, you can lose your limb or both limbs. The arms I'm talking about, you couldn't lose your legs, so you would fight with, and there's the dizzy. So if I can get off the move, I couldn't do it, but if you can get off the move, you could end the fight right there. It's the best 2 out of 3 format, and hitting all 5 of the buttons, the arms, legs, and the head at the same time, would initiate the super death move, and that was a kill, basically. A lot of people found that out the hard way and lost their quarters to some disappointment. I'm trying to do it right now. These controls on the computer are not a very good accurate representation of the arcade joystick and buttons, but let's see if I can pull off the super death. There it is right there. Whoa, there goes her head. It's pretty. It's so pretty. I don't even know what that's from. I don't even remember what that reference is from. I'm just saying it because I think it fits the situation. But moving on. Okay, I should correct myself. I don't think that was the super death move I just did. I think it was the super move that can cut off your head. I mean, there's varying degrees of super... Oh, I just killed him. What do you know? Varying degrees of super moves. The super death move, in actuality, was when you actually cut off the arms one at a time, then you cut off the head, not just the head coming off by itself like I just did there. So some more about the gameplay here. You'll notice that, oddly enough, your life bar fills up as you get hit, and it moves toward the center, no matter which side you're on, player 1 or player 2. So that kind of gets takes some getting used to. But other than that, I mean, the animation is really choppy. The best animation you'll see is the beginning with the blood dripping down. I think that's where their budget went. The colors are good though. The characters are colorful and big. Sprites are big. I think the backgrounds, some of them look like they have thought put into them, and it's really great when you get your head cut off, because then you can see yourself headless there in the versus screen. But I think you really have to look at Time Killers like it's a summer blockbuster. You know, you don't really go in expecting to see an Oscar-worthy picture with a deep, deep plot and life-changing. You know, it's got the flash and the bang, and you know, you get what you pay for. And I'm sorry, but I appear to be running out of time, which is a real bummer. I kind of wanted to get more in depth with the backgrounds, but I'll say the final boss of Time Killers was Death itself. I believe you had to decapitate him to beat the game. I wish I could show you some footage. You can find some online. I just didn't have the patience, mainly because I'm hacking away on a keyboard and I don't have a joystick. We've got the Time Killers staff scene here. Let's see, we've got Gay Bellotta. That's a nice name. Leaf, we got a Leaf in there. Maybe that was a little tribute to himself. Now, Time Killers did get a semi-sequel. It's called Bloodstorm. I have never played it. I never saw it in the arcades. I just know that it was a lot more gory. than Time Killers was. Time Killers also got a Genesis release, Sega Genesis, and even though I can't verify that Time Killers had a battery backup to actually remember high scores, it did measure the high scores in how many heads, who had the most heads and arms cut off, as well as wins. That was kind of funny. Um, so to recap, Time Killers, among the first and pioneering in limb decapitation, limb loss, where you could continue fighting. There's a name for that. I don't remember what it is. I'm not in the mood to look it up. If you can't tell, this review has gone progressively less enthusiastic as it's gone on. This is why we don't record things all at once, people. It had the Stratus sound. That was a little innovation right there. Even though I can't say that the background music was all that great to warrant an entirely new speaker system, if it was really that new. Again, little innovations like that. Controlling the arms, controlling the legs. A lot of innovations there. For 1992, that wasn't too shabby. So I suggest you go out and get a ROM and give this Time Killers a shot. You probably won't be entertained for more than 15 minutes. The novelty kind of wears off a little quick. I couldn't even get through waiting for the character profile screens to come up to screen cap them, and the screen capture software is it's just a pain to work with. But we shouldn't hold that against the Time Killers. So again, if you have some time to kill it with Time Killers. How's that for an ending?